Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Unstoppable Amputees. Remember, this is a podcast by an amputee for amputees. If you're new, this is the first time you're listening to the podcast, you are most welcomed. Now, the podcast is for any amputee who is currently using a prosthetic leg. Maybe you've been using it for years, or you just started using it. Just know that you're not alone. We are here to share experiences, share journey, and also learn from our experts. And just like any other episode, today we are honored to have a guest who is going to talk more about occupational therapy and why it's important for amputees. So without further ado, please allow me to introduce our guest for the day today. Her name is Perpetua Omondi, and she is a HCPC UK licensed pediatric occupational therapist based in Nairobi, Kenya. She's also the founder of Dynamic Occupational Therapy Limited. Dynamic Occupational Therapy is an independent pediatric therapy company in Kenya that believes that every child matters. They work together with parents, teachers, caregivers, various institutions, and stakeholders to provide high-quality therapy services to the children. And so I'll give her an opportunity to also just reintroduce herself, and then we can begin from there. Karibu sana.
Thank you very much. Thank you for hosting me in your podcast.
You most welcome.
Yes, as you've mentioned, I'm a pediatric occupational therapist.
Yes.
So on a daily basis, our work is to just play with children, help them achieve their potential.
Mhm.
And beyond serving at Dynamic Occupational Therapy as the founder, I also serve in various boards and various associations. So I'm a member of World Rehabilitation Alliance, a body that is hosted by WHO that really works on pushing the Rehabilitation 2030 vision. And I'm also a member of International Alliance of Childhood Disability. So I sit in their executive committee. So we are there trying to deliberate how best ways we can support children internationally. Then in terms of the region in East Africa, I am an executive member of the East African Alliance of Childhood Disability, where within East Africa now we look at what can we do for children within East Africa, how do we help children with disabilities within East Africa, and also a board member of an organization, NGO called Special Education Professionals, where we really see how therapists and in terms of multidisciplinary team support rich families within different parts of this country. So I'm really excited to be here.
Wow.
I'm really excited to hear and learn from the podcast, because also I'm hearing there'll be a lot of information sharing.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, and thank you. What Phoebe, you have done a lot and you're doing a lot in society. We really appreciate even you just taking your time to join us for this particular session. So I'd love to start with, how did you even get yourself into occupational therapy? Is it something that you grew up with people who were in that industry, or you met someone who underwent some challenges and you felt like this is the field I'd like to explore? Basically, could you just explain to us how you got into occupational therapy?
Yes, thank you, Magdalene, for that question. In regards to how I found out my interest in occupational therapy, so I stumbled into it. I really didn't know what it was. The way you finish college and you have different options and choices.
Yes.
So my first option was quite an expensive course at that moment, and my parents could not afford. So I was like, what is the other alternative? So I was reading and scrolling through the internet. Those days we used to go to the cyber. So going to the cyber, looking at what is there, the world is offering. So what I really wanted was more of mental health. And when I went through occupational therapy, I discovered, actually it's a combination of several things. So based on that, I just applied. But when I applied, wasn't taken in the first round of applications. So I had a 1 year gap. And that 1 year gap, I can say, was the beginning part of my business world, being in business. So I did business during that first year, because I was waiting for being taken into KMTC. At that time, it was only Kenya Medical Training College offering. So I did business during that period. So I think that's where the founding and running of entrepreneurship and business started from in terms of my career. But that's how I bumped into occupational therapy. When I went into college, I found that occupational therapy is so big, so vast, and it's a path you can take. You can take very many paths when you're in occupational therapy. But the one that really drew me was the children. because I felt that with children, there's no 2 days that look alike. One day is like this, the other day you meet other children. So they really bring certain life. They make the world go round from a perspective. They bring life into this world. Yeah.
Wow, amazing. So it's from there that you now decided this is the path I'm going to take.
Yes.
And this is, the impact I want to create in society.
Yes.
Why do you think occupational therapy is important for children with amputation or even adults who have undergone amputation?
So by and large, I think for us to understand why occupational therapy is important, maybe you can just give a general overview of what is occupational therapy. So occupational therapy is a profession that works on helping individuals do what they need to do on a daily basis. If it is an important thing, if it is going to school, if it is going to work, if it is having a recreation that is playing golf or going to run or even just going basics, going to church. So we help individuals to be able to achieve that irrespective of what they're currently facing. So we use a lot of activity. So our work is activity-based. So we use activity as a means, as an end also. So we use activities for intervention. We use activities for assessment. We use activities to help them get better. So you find that the role of occupational therapists in children and individuals who have amputation is to be able to functionally return them back to what they were doing before. How do we help them still be able to do their dressing? We have those activities of daily living, the dressing, the feeding, the grooming. How do we help them do all that even with their amputation? How do we help them return back to school, return back to work? So for us, we look at a holistic point of view because we embrace the biosocial model where we're looking at the social aspect of the individual, even spirituality. How do we help them access their spirituality even within that space? So that is the bird's view of occupational therapy when it comes to amputation.
Okay. So maybe at what stage should someone start seeing an occupational therapist?
So it depends on the setting, yeah. So you find that just post-operative, some the occupational therapists are just involved immediately after the operation. So once the operation is done, the occupational therapy together with the multidisciplinary team will try and start problem solving. How will this person do this? Can they be able to move? Can they be able to do their transfers? How do we do control edema, the swelling? So post-operation, you'll find that the occupational therapist is part of that team that now brainstorms and problem solves with the client to see also how are they going back to the community. Because we find that many times they're in hospital for a period of time, at most 2 or 3 weeks, but after that they need to go back home. Mm-hmm. So for us, the occupational therapist team within the hospital setting, we call it the comprehensive rehabilitation setting, they're the ones who are supposed to consider how are they going back home. Can we go home and see their environment? Is their bed, what is the height of their bed? How is their bathroom? And they're because we also have to look at fall prevention. Do we have things in their way that would cause falls? Is their bathroom floor slippery? Do we need to make adaptations of their bathroom? If it's within the kitchen space, what can we do to make their life easier? How do we get some certain tools and equipments to make their life slightly easier by the time they're transitioning? So we actually look at life when you're in the hospital. We still think about life within the hospital. How do you get dressed? How do you do all that? But we also now prepare you for life after the hospital. So I can call it that phase 1. And then phase 2 is when now the person has gotten the prosthesis. How do we help them still do all those activities with the prosthesis? And then still also we look at the care of the scar. We also are part of the team that look at scar management. We also look at desensitization of the stump, where there has been where the stump is. We look at how do we desensitize, but then also we look at preventative options of the preventative segment of how do we prevent another amputation? Because you'll find that sometimes when clients have things like diabetes, other comorbidities, they are susceptible for another amputation if there's no much monitoring. So we give them ideas of having a mirror. How do you look at the other foot? Check your feet, check and see if you're seeing anything, any form of infection. Can we start preventing? So in general, that's what I would say the occupational therapist team does. But there's a lot of home modification that comes along because we have to modify the space. We have to see what can we add, what do we remove, what are you comfortable with. But also, when you hear now occupational therapists, they are team members who brainstorm together with the client. So we just don't tell people what to do. We also get to hear them. We are going with you at home, which is the most currently important thing. We set goals together, we achieve goals together, we move and set new goals. So it's a team member who has that holistic feel. Apart from just going home, what else do you want to do? Do you want to attend church? Do you want to go back to your social activities? Were you playing golf? Would you want to go to the golf course? So we look at that holistic aspect of the person and also look at their roles. Who are they? So are they a mother? Are they an employee? Are they a sister? So all these roles, they have to still go back to their roles, even with the amputation. How do we help them still go back to those roles? But then now, because we have that psychosocial aspects of our training, we're able to pick some things along the way and also help clients. So it's a very holistic feel to how we help our clients.
Wow, this is, I think for me, what I'm learning or picking from this conversation is the holistic approach of it. Because, once someone has undergone this surgery and they're trying to pick up themselves, the whole process, you want someone to hold you from the beginning, even as you continue with the journey. The fact that you're not just leaving, your patients after the surgery, even after they have now gone back to their, homes, their families, you're able to also make sure that you make their spaces accessible, make the environment, be able to enable them to just go back to life, how the way towards, and even then just going back to what they love. Like you mentioned about golf, if they are, people who love golfing, maybe they love dancing, maybe they love, other things that they're passionate about, they're still able to go back. Yes, it's a journey, but at least you're there to work with, such individuals to make sure that they are able to go back to life. Yes. And I really appreciate that. So what are the biggest everyday challenges that you think amputees face that people don't talk about?
What I would say is just function, being able to function. Because you had your prior function. So being able to function in a way that is almost similar to what you used to do before. How you were just that independence. So what I feel is a big challenge is people are helping me too much. I'm depending on people too much. I don't want to depend on people too much, but I still need them because I don't know how to do it myself. So that loss of function is a really big problem because someone feels that they are really dependent on others. And you'll find within our setting, within our African setting, people don't mind in a way to take care of each other. So we easily do it, but sometimes people feel like I want space to do it myself. And sometimes we don't allow them. We're like, no, let me help you, Apana, we'll just put things for you, So sometimes within our settings, we are very helpful, which is important. But then sometimes people feel overwhelmed with that support. And then also they feel like their dignity is stripped because yes, you want to help me, but I am not prepared you to help me to shower. I'm not prepared for you to help me clean up after myself after I've gone to the washroom. So there's a loss of dignity sometimes regarding the type of amputation and the help they would require. And then also there's the aspect of stigma. Stigma still affects all of us, and stigma comes in various models. Based on the level of amputation or the type of amputation, people will talk, people will look you in a certain way. So stigma is something that still affects people, all levels, children going all the way to adulthood. So stigma. And then also I think the aspect of society being able to understand before judging, or sometimes before they get to know what was the cause of the amputation, they have already made a conclusion. There's something happened that you had to have that, but they have not gone through your story. They don't take the time. I think we are not patient as a society to really take time to understand what happened and be patient enough to wait for you to answer and listen through it. So those are some of the hidden challenges, but then also loss of confidence in oneself, where someone feels that this amputation has changed me and I'm not as confident as I used to be before. So those are some of the things, but the loss of function, I would say, is the silent one, because because we're helping people around, we don't see, because they're not able to function or do what they wanted to do, it brings now the ripple effect of all the other things.
You just speaking is making me have, I'm just doing like a personal brainstorming, and I'm looking at my own experiences. I'm also looking at my friends' experiences, and I can see, some truths in it in terms of, just trying to live with people who want to support, whether it's just in terms of doing a bit of adjustments in the house, or probably they just training you maybe how to cook, how to dress up again if you're not able to do that, and even just regaining your confidence back and being able to just accept who you are. It's a journey, it's a lot. And as long as you have people holding you, as long as you have people, they are really accountable to make sure that you're well, it's really a beautiful thing. And I'd love to see more people, supporting, because it's not easy. And yes, we can be stubborn, we can be we can be hard on people, especially when they want to help us. But I just feel like we should just, give us time, because it's not easy, and we appreciate that. Now, because you mentioned something to do with them regaining, their identity and confidence, I just wanted to know, how do you support patients who are struggling with self-acceptance, or just trying to embrace who they are?
It's a process of grief. Anytime you lose anything, you have to grieve. Even when you lose your phone. You can imagine when you lose your phone was just stolen. You go through the processes of grief. You're like, I had connections. I had a sentimental attachment to my phone. There are nice pictures there. So you can imagine that is an external piece that you still grieve about, and still like my phone, my phone. As much as you could be able to get another phone, you still remember that phone. So that is external. So you can imagine now if this is now something on your body. So we have to allow the people to go through all the stages. As a people, we have to allow them. They will have that phases of anger. They will have phases of depression, where they don't want to talk, they don't want to eat. So we just have to understand their stages, where they are, try and see what can we do to help them come out of it. But acceptance is a journey. You cannot say you have fully accepted, because every stage of life, you'll come to discover you're accepting new things. There are things you are not prepared to accept at a certain stage. Maybe at the earlier stages, you're accepting now that I actually don't have a need. The later stages, you're now accepting that there are sports I cannot play, because, or if I have to play, I have to put in a lot of effort to be able to participate in this sport. So with every stage of life, it comes another form of acceptance. And it's acceptance every stage of their life. So for me, the best way to cope is to be able to capacity build the individuals, to be able to know and have that like first aid psychosocial support, where I know Circleg does. So they have that aspect of, I have a go-to solution. If I feel this, I know I'm angry, I know I'm this. So that self-awareness is what I really focus on, where they're able to really help themselves and identify themselves where they are. This is where I am. So for me, it is to give them the tool, and then they can apply it and use it any other time. So that is the most powerful way. But once the other options are the family members around them, having those tools, when they're told, when you see them angry, it's not you, it is a stage. When you see them not eating, it's a form of depression that they'll go through. So also giving the people around them that awareness. If it's a teacher in school, let's the class teacher know, this child is going through this, you might see this, they might respond badly. So maybe before you punish them, talk to them. So just also apart from capacity building the individual, we also capacity build the people around them to be aware that acceptance is not instant, and there are things we keep on accepting at different stages. So allow them to go through the stages. You might think they have accepted, but they have accepted only what is currently available to them. When they reach a certain stage of life, when they're in retirement, there's another form of acceptance that counts that wasn't there when in your youth. So they have to go through different stages. So acceptance is a journey, because every time you are seeing a new loss every day. every day you're experiencing a new loss. I'm now aware this is what, because of the amputation, and might have a challenge with. Yeah.
Well, it's really nice that you're highlighting all this really like the whole process of healing or acceptance. It's a journey. It's not just a one day affair, it's not a one day thing, and the different stages. So in those stages, it comes with different emotions, different reactions and stuff like that. And I just wanted to know, because families are supposed to, provide tools and also just be able to capacity build, someone who's lost their leg in one way or the other. But what do you think are some of the mistakes that family members do or family generally do to such people, even when they have good intentions?
I like the last statement you have made, even when they have good intentions. Because you find that with good intentions, sometimes we injure people without knowing. So some of the injuries that families make, one is assumptions. We assume a lot, and we assume, one, you need this, we do this, we get to do this, I'll organize for you this, I'll have booked an appointment. So we assume and we forget your voice. So that is the first place we do from love. Because we feel like now we have to take care of everything, we have to run everything. We've even gone to your office, we've told them no, they cannot be able to come back to work, give them time, but we have not talked to you. So the first one is assumptions. We assume, we go further ahead, we don't consult, we just move because it's out of love, it's out of a nice ignorance. It's not because we as family we don't consider you. So that is the first thing. So we also as families do so much for the person who's been amputated. So we do everything for them, make them for them food, almost feeding them. It's out of love. But then also we have to remember, we have to build the independence. So how do we get to build the independence back? The other thing family members do is we pretend we are fine, yet we are not. So the person who's amputated can't see we are not okay. So sometimes we are not able to share our most vulnerable thoughts because we are like, we have to be strong for you. But then sometimes vulnerability brings the grieving process to a closure to some of us, because when we all talk about our feelings openly and able to share, I'm actually feeling stressed also. I'm pretty scared because if it's a comorbidity, you're sick and one leg was cut, will it affect your other leg? So that open discussion, because yes, we love our family members, also want to shield them, but having a space not to share emotions or even talking to them about emotions, not timing is important, but it is important they get to hear our true thoughts about where we are currently, because it also settles them. Then I can say, man, it's just, but she's not okay. I know she's just out of him. So I think those are some of the few things that what family does. But then also, I think I would go a bit beyond the external family, then the nuclear family members, or go to the external family members. Sometimes because we know there's prosthesis, now we go forward and say, don't worry, you'll get another leg. There's always those legs people use, but no one wants the other leg. Some we actually want I wanted my own, So sometimes we go ahead and yes, it's a solution, but how we put it, sometimes it comes out like, don't worry, you'll get another one. Even when someone says, when you're busy ranting that you've lost your phone, and someone says, don't worry, just get another one. But they're not getting it, when you're busy talking about, my phone is lost. You want them to identify that emotion, you want them to comfort you. So I think that's something some people have a challenge with. And then now when we have our prosthesis and all that, I think sometimes families might not really be interested in knowing how it's used, how it's cleaned, like those basics. When we put it,
it's not something they
yes. So I think that also that educational awareness of actually just learning more about your gadget, what are you currently using, what are the assistive devices you're currently using. Yeah, but I give it up to families that they're really trying to be able to help their person. But I think now those are the blind spots when we're in it. But sometimes when you're inside something, it's hard to see. So those are some of the blind spots. But I know they come from a point of love.
Yeah, really nice. And the point that you talked about, these are things that we rarely talk about. We don't know, especially our family members. Yes, they're supporting, someone who's lost their limb in one way or the other, but we don't know the emotions they're going through. And I think one of the things that we also trying to ensure that we speak about is just celebrating our guardians, our caregivers, because they also don't have a space to share what they're going through emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically. Do they have questions they're trying to figure out? Am I to be blamed? Did I do something wrong to, enable this situation to happen and stuff like that? It's nice that we are highlighting all these things to make sure that family members or community generally, appreciates them and also just finds ways of how to work with someone who's lost.
Yes.
Yeah. So what are some of the things that the community can do to make our environmental spaces inclusive for us into disability? Yeah.
Wow. What the community can do, I believe we have the Booster and Disability Act.
Okay.
And that one is a good blueprint of what is expected. What should buildings have in terms of accommodations? What should spaces have when it comes to different things? But we always remember we have the ideal and then we have what's on the ground. We say our ground is different. So what I can say within communities is, as a community, you just have to analyze and see how can we make the lives of the individual easy? How can we make their lives more functional? So one is being able to see how do we involve them in our community activities, and when they come, are they comfortable? Do we have the right height of chairs? Do we have the right aspects of comfort? Can we provide access to the assistive devices, assistive technology? How do we ensure people have access to them? So the community, depending on the individual, because every individual integrates back to a different community. So it is upon that community and even the individual advocating for some things. So when the individual notices, oh, this is missing in my community, maybe they're the first one to experience that, they can actually do advocacy and say they have the exact needs. We all know our exact needs. I would like this, I would like this, I would like this. You go have a sitting with the chief, the community elders, how do we build on that?
Wow, really, really insightful. And I believe these are some of the things that, the community can just continue to ensure that we make our world a better place and we are inclusive despite, someone having a disability when they're there.
Yeah.
So yes, earlier on we talked about the different stages in which you support, someone who's going through amputation, the whole process. You mentioned about 2 stages. The first one where, after the whole process, you're able to still work with them, and then they go back home, and also just trying to make sure that they are integrated back to society. So just wanted to know, what are some of the steps that you do to help, amputees so that they're able to return back to either work or go back to school independently?
Yes, so when they are from hospitals, we have been able to get their own profile. So we call it the occupational profile. We've been able to understand who they are, what they do, what their jobs entail, and then also from now the occupational profile. So the occupational therapy has processes, we call them the OT processes, and we utilize a framework called the Occupational Therapy Framework 4. The current one is called Occupational Framework 4. So the OTPF4, our processes are evaluation, intervention, and then discharge and follow-up. So you find that when we do the evaluation, we get to understand who is this person, what are their roles, what are their rituals. Rituals meaning what do they do on a daily basis. So once we gather that information, then we're able to understand what do we need to move them to. So let's say, for example, occupational profile. This is just a scenario. Client BA is a 40-year-old client who is currently an accountant working in this company. So with that profile, we now know return back to work is something that we have to consider. If they are willing to return back to work, someone's to do consultancy after that. So we now brainstorm with the client. What is it that you want? How do you want to go back? Then we create steps with them. But the 4 steps, the 4 processes are what we use. We evaluate. Now, once we brainstorm and within that process, we now create the intervention plan. So the intervention plan is like stairs. We move from one level, go to the next, go to the next. Maybe the first phase is how do you transition from, let's say, transportation? How do you move from your home to work? Were you driving? Now you can't drive. Who will drive you to work? How do we get? Is it Uber? How do you transfer to your Uber? When you go to work, can you come and look at your desk? Is it conducive? Is it working? Do you need us to help you get any phones or push up any phones that you might need to require you to share with your bosses? Are your chairs economically friendly? So we now look at those processes. So that is within now the intervention phase. We've done our assessment, we're now intervening. So within the intervention, we always have like progress. Are we making progress? Do we now need to discharge from active therapy sessions? But beyond the discharge from active therapy sessions means that you've been reintegrated, you're trying on something, it's working, or you've changed your mind, you want to do something else. Then now we do the discharge and then we do a follow-up after the discharge. When it comes to children within the school setting, now we look at all those things. We evaluate what were they doing in school. So that's the assessment phase. Were they in sports? What were they doing before? So then now we brainstorm even with the children. So goal setting is not just with adults. Children have an idea of what they want. So we now also get to hear from them. What is it that you wanted? What is it that you currently want to pursue? Then there's client education and those around them education. So within the school, we also educate the teachers. We take that time to tell them this is their integrating back to school. We have modified some things. We look at the toilet, the washrooms. Are they accessible? Some places the child might not access their toilet, but they might need to use the teacher's toilet. So we make sure they have access to the right toilet, right bathroom if it's in boarding schools, So we look at all those environments. And then after that, we help them now be able to do what they need to do. If they need that follow-up, if they need to continue with, especially with upper extremities, amputation or limb differences, we work a lot with our clients because you'll find that we like major in upper limb. So, but now we help them to do activities because we are big on fine motor skills, the writing, the drawing. How do we help them still do all that? How do we help them use the assistive technology devices? If the amputation has affected both limbs, is it speech to text? Do we help them get access to that? How to use them? Is it like whatever technology device they need to adapt themselves to, we help them. So same with children. Once they're able to function, because once our main part is function, can the individual function well in whatever they want to do? And thus we don't limit them. It is whatever. If it is the going bird watching, we are there with you. How do we help you bird watch? So it's not just limited for us in a clinical setting. Our world is open. It's whatever you want to do. You want to go swimming, we'll go with you to Mombasa. We help you see how you can swim in the ocean. So for us, we just look at function. So that would be the role of occupational therapist with all those individuals. And you can see our role cuts across. We can work with children, we can work with adults, we can work with senior citizens. So it is just the individual. What is it that they need to do? And the occupation is not just limited to work. For us, an occupation is any activity you want to do. So you can imagine how wide it is. So when I say occupational therapy, it is on any activity you want to do.
Yeah. Wow. This is, as a school, it's again like a holistic approach on it. And I like the fact that you've tackled both when someone's going back to school and also when they're going back to work. Because actually, what is going through my mind now is for someone who's coming in the rural area, they are not privileged enough to, be able to access certain spaces or even be able to afford, having the whole occupational therapy happening to them and stuff like that. Yes, it can be a lot. But I just wanted to know, in now coming back to work environment, what do you think are some of the things that employers rather can do to the working environment stay inclusive with both people of prosthetic or persons with disability?
So one would be the education, because the employer has to understand first themselves. When an amputation takes place, what happens? So for me, I'll go for employer education. anytime someone has had an amputation, they can actually do it themselves. Just read it up. When somebody has an amputation, the HR, someone within the company just reads up. What can they do to help them? What is it? What can they expect? The other thing is, as an employer where there is medical cover, just try as much as possible to ensure you help the person cover most of their costs, because it's quite expensive to be able to do so much in terms of the costs that are involved when it comes to amputation. The third bit is the modification of environment. If the person needs any form of modification, just try it, because many a times you find that some modifications do not have to be expensive. It might just be calling a carpenter to change the height of a desk, or placing a footrest, somewhere where the person can place if they are not wearing the prosthetic and they are a bit tired, just where they can put their leg, the leg rest. So it's just those accommodations that the employer can look into, and they can partner with people who know what is expected, and they're able to advise them. They're able to tell them, look at this, get this, have a feel of this, try and get this. And then, because now it will be considered as a person with a disability, as an employer, then you have to see how best you can work with a person with a disability or person with lived experience. Then the education to the other team members. As an employer, you can have weight on the other people under you learning. So you can do a lot of trainings or just once off where the others learn about how to best support the current employee, or even just about amputation. It doesn't have to be direct that you want to support you, but it can be let us all learn about it. So the employer has a great influence on the education of the team.
Yeah. Wow. Very nice. The other question I just wanted to know is how accessible are occupational therapy services in Kenya today?
Yes, the occupational therapy services are accessible, but as we can know, the ratio of even just as within Africa and even globally, the ratio of the health provider and the people to be service provided to is usually very low. So I find that one occupational therapist is available and serves a huge number of people. So when they're available, you'll find us even in various parts of this country, in level 2, level 1 facilities, like we have within all those spaces, within the government sector, they are there. So occupational therapy is quite available, but just remember the numbers. So you'll find that in some spaces, you'll have one occupational therapist serving a big region. So that means they are overwhelmed. But I believe it's something that within the health industry, not only in Kenya, it's quite outside, that we are serving a huge number, a huge caseload of people. But the occupational therapists are available. And I like the fact that you mentioned the aspects of the rural village. You find that some accommodations and some recommendations can be made with very low cost materials. So it doesn't have to be costly. It just has to make us think outside the box. Because you'll find the occupational therapist can work with the local welder to create a form of adaptation that is required for farming, So if the person is a farmer, if the person is taking care of their cattle and things like that, people can problem solve even from a local level.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I'd just love to ask you a personal question.
Yes.
How has, your experience working with occupational therapy been? Like, do you have maybe one success story you'd love to share with us that you worked with this particular client and they were able to be integrated back to society, they were able to accept themselves and just be independent? So you don't mind.
So we as an occupational therapist, I believe it's a fulfilling career on my end. I would say the biggest joy for me as an occupational therapist is seeing progress, even if it's like a dot. Just seeing that child being able to move from one milestone to the next one, seeing the family being able to celebrate those milestones, seeing the schools accepting and allowing the children to be part of their system, seeing the schools creating different systems and structures around this one child. So I love the feel. So for me, it's the feel of progress, the feel of being able to see a child be able to progress from one level to the other. And since I now have a team, it is seeing my team members being able to bring all these beautiful reports and telling me this child was here, then he moved here, then here, then here. Another joy that I feel for me as a mentor, because I also work with other therapists, is being able to hear other therapists finding their own way, their own path. They are able to tell me, no, I was thinking this, then I hear them, then we brainstorm, then they say, oh, this is where you are heading, and this and this and this. So as an occupational therapist, I think I enjoy seeing the progress, being able to see that potential that was once there. So I see it more of the persons who births the diamond. When they come out, they are very raw, they have so many things. So that process of just taking time to birth that diamond until it comes out, cutting the diamond, shaping it. So that is my joy, being able to see that part. The selling of the diamond is fun, but there's that process. So for me, I'm in the process stage where just seeing that beautiful progress. So I've seen lots of progress in my career. It's very hard to pinpoint one. But it's just a joy. For me, that's my heartbeat. What can we do every single day to make sure even children are discharged from service? Because sometimes it's like we need to discharge children, but we need to discharge when they have progressed. So for me, those are the things that make my heart beat. And then also I think from now sitting in the various spaces I sit, being in spaces where policy are being discussed that benefits children with disability and others in general, being in places where you can influence certain aspects of policy, because there's the aspect of working at the center level, seeing clients one-on-one, but the bigger picture is if you can influence the whole 360 life of the individual, and it's also a joy. So I'm quite excited when I sit in those seats I'm sitting, because I'm feeling like I'm doing more than just therapy. I'm influencing life of children within the country, within our region, globally, within the rehabilitation 2030 agenda. So I'm very excited because I feel that if I look at my life, I am seeing impact on all levels.
Amazing. Maybe, I don't know if you faced any challenges
Yes.
in the same
position. Oh, yes. With the challenges, I would say one is just the aspects of being able to convince others that it is possible. Being able to convince the parents, don't worry, we can do it, we can be able to help your child. So the convincing bit is also a challenge. Just being able to convince team members, let's go for it, we can get this, we can make sure this number of children, we can take in more clients. The convincing bit is not easy. Being able to convince people around me that whatever I'm seeing is actually going to happen. So it's quite a challenge. The other challenge is when we lose clients, sometimes in our parts we find that some clients leave us, and it's very painful because you have connected with the clients, you've connected with the children. So when they move on and pass, it affects you. You also have to find a way to breathe. And then also I think the other challenge within our business terrain is just being able to maneuver and do business and thrive. Because business is quite a complex thing. So I think the normal business challenges that any entrepreneur face also I face. So aspects of sometimes when you want to scale, aspects of capital, aspects of retaining teams, So all the other business challenges that others face, I also face it. So that's why I'm also, within business, I also try and mentor, try new trainings. So we come and discuss aspects of chaos. What's your chaos in your business? How do we help you unpack your chaos? How do we problem solve? So because you've gone through certain phases of business, you also are able to help others. So those are some of the challenges. But I believe they're challenges faced by all. So I don't see them as unique. All I have to do is just problem solve. I just have to find a solution. Because I remember I was in a training and they were saying you are the solution to your problems. It always stuck with me because I was like, I'm the solution to my problem. So when you're there frustrated, almost crying, I am the solution of my problem. So you now start brainstorming and
for solutions. Thank you so much for sharing that. If you could change one mindset in society about disability, what would that be? Or what will it be?
Yes, I have it. So Changing the mindset would be for the community to see the possibilities.
Okay.
But sometimes we are stuck in what is not working. We don't focus on what is working and what can work.
Yes.
So I think the community can have a more strength-based perspective where it is not a reporting of this one cannot do this, they are not able to, they have not been able to, rather than they can do this and this and this, how do you help them do their thing? So that strength-based perspective is what I would love to change. If I would have a magic wand, this is what I would change.
So just change the
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Maybe just your last words of encouragement to someone who has undergone amputation or is in that healing journey. Maybe what of encouragement to that to just should remind them of their amputation in life. I'd love for you to just share that.
Yeah, so I'll start with acknowledging that what you have gone through is extremely hard. It is a painful process. Recovery is going to be painful. Recovery is going to be hard. But I would like to encourage you that there are people who are willing to work with you. They're already some next to your beds, your family members, your medical team. So there are people who are willing to work with you. It's okay to feel the way you feel. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to feel depressed. It's okay to cry. But remember, there is always a silver lining in every situation. There's always that silver lining. He never said silver linings. So it means you just have to find one thing that you can cling on to, that will give you hope, to get to give you that hope to face tomorrow, hope to take that one step, hope to take that next step, hope to go for rehabilitation. Rehabilitation is painful too. We might come to our spaces and cause you a bit of pain, but you'll find that we all want to support you. So be encouraged. It's not an easy journey. It's an acknowledgement that it is not an easy journey, and we might never understand, but we are here to support.
Wow. Thank you so much for your time, Perpetua. It's been really, a learning journey for me. I didn't know much about occupational therapy, and thank you for highlighting some of the things that we need to understand, the basic and also, the technical bit. And thank you so much for your time. Thank you for listening to us. It's been an amazing session. I hope you learned one or two things, and I'll see you on the next episode. Bye.